Okay, now Buffy the Human Beatbox, was he beatboxing from the very beginning, or did he learn that from someone else?
Um, well, here's the thing. I met Buff when Buff moved on the block. I was um I was rapping the song um Super Rhymes by Jimmy Spicer, may he rest in peace. And Buff was we were playing in one of the many lots on our block, and Buff started beatboxing. He started doing sounds with his mouth. So me and another childhood friend, we started checking his pockets. Like, what do you got in your pockets? He's like, there's nothing in my pockets. Like, so open your mouth. Let me see what's in your mouth. So he opens his mouth. I'm like, well, where's that sound coming from? He says, my mouth. I said, no freaking way. I said, do that again. And he starts doing it again. And we were like we were blown away because he had such power. It wasn't like some of you beatboxers you hear nowadays where so much antics and sound effects. He actually sounded like a drum, a bass kick and all that stuff. So it kind of blew us away, and we started looking at him like he was kind of weird because of what he was doing. Like, yo, this kid is weird, man. Like he's making beats with his mouth and all that stuff. But you know, that's what he did. He said he was in his room one day. He just started doing that when he was like 9 years old, I think, and he started practicing and got better at it.
Okay, now you yourself, can you beatbox yourself?
No, no,
No.
he never taught me that stuff. I never wanted to
Okay.
learn either.
Uh, okay. And I think to the rest of the world, beatboxing got introduced in the movie Beat Street
Right,
when Dougie
Dougie
Fresh did
Fresh,
it
yeah,
in that whole Christmas skit.
right.
Now, did you guys know about Dougie Fresh at
Didn't know
all,
Dougie
or
Fresh at all. Somebody came on our block one time. They wanted to battle us. This when we became a rap group, and they wanted to battle us. And they were from Harlem, and they said there's a guy that does the same thing as him. His name is Dougie Fresh. So we started kind of laughing at the name, like Dougie Fresh. Like what kind of name is that? But we had no idea who he was because once again, we're from where we're from. We're from Brooklyn. He's from Harlem. So we didn't go uptown to see who was doing what. You know, most of the time we thought people would come check for us like we were some kind of stars, but we weren't. But we didn't know who Dougie Fresh was. But once we saw the movie Beat Street, you gotta remember Beat Street came out, but we had a song out as well. Our song that we made, our first ever song was called Reality. And Buff was doing the beatbox on that song as well. Now the song didn't take off the way the movie Beat Street did and didn't have an impact. But Buff was still doing beatboxing on records, on that particular record. But yeah, no, we didn't know who Dougie Fresh was.
okay? So the three of you form a group, but it's actually five of you in the beginning.
Yeah, how you know about
Uh,
that?
I know, man. I
Huh?
researched. So the original group was called Hypnotized Five.
How you know about that? Man? That's crazy. You gotta be a real fan to know that kind of stuff. Yeah, the original group was called the Hypnotized Five. It was five MCs, one DJ, and Buff would have been the beatbox, the secret weapon, so to speak. So we kind of formed the group on Mark's porch on his stoop. And I don't think these guys took it seriously, the other three. And because they weren't coming to practice, they were always saying, yeah, let's practice on Thursday. They wouldn't show up, and it'd just be me, Buff, and Mark, at the practice facility, which was Buff's house. And so we said, you know what? They don't want to get down with it. So, let's just keep it as Disco 3. So that's what we called ourselves. That the last day they didn't come, we called ourselves the Disco 3. And we knew there was a Disco 4, but and it is what it is.
Okay, so the Disco 3 ended up competing in this big talent contest,
Yeah,
which was sponsored by Coca-Cola,
right,
actually, and WBLS,
right.
and you guys won it.
Yeah. We won the semifinals, then went on to win the finals.
Right. And with that win actually came a record deal.
Right.
Okay, so now the Disco 3 are signed, and at the time, Melly Mel's The Message was like the hottest thing
Oh man, yeah.
in the streets. So you guys decide to kind of follow that
Yeah.
blueprint, and you came out with a song called Reality.
Reality, right. It
which
didn't get
doesn't do
past
that
our
well.
block, so I think it stayed on our block. And whoever bought it must have really loved us a lot because that song sucked. But it just gave us an illustration of what making a song was all about. That's pretty much all it was. And we did our take on what the Furious Five was. Everybody was doing those kind of songs at that time because people gravitate to what works in the music industry. So
Right. And I actually just interviewed Melly Mel. And, what he talked about, which honestly I co-signed, was that was the most important song
ever,
in hip hop ever because it changed the direction of the art form. Before the message, rappers were rapping about rapping.
Right.
and partying and girls and whatever else, who had the best rhymes. But then that song kind of legitimized the art form as, okay, this is actual social consciousness and, a statement about the current, state of New York and poverty and so forth.
Yeah.
And people start taking hip hop seriously after that.
Oh yeah, definitely. When the message came out, even grown people who wasn't even into hip hop, into rap music, they gravitated to that song. The message was so impactful that it was like it gave the whole world an illustration what New York was like. And if you want to know what New York was like, you got to listen to that song. Broken glass everywhere, people pissing on the stairs, they just don't care. Can't take the smell, can't take the noise, got no money to move out, I guess I got no choice. Rats in the front and roaches in the back, which was every house damn near in Brooklyn, rats in the front and roaches in the back. So it was, he hit the nail on every head of that song. And Duke Booty, who wrote the song with Melly Mel, it just was a combination of Melly Mel's voice was so like rage, like he was enraged. But it's like Duke Booty voice was like he was the elder statesman telling him to calm down. It's going to be okay. But it's an impact. My mother loved that song. She said Melly Mel sounded like a preacher. So it's like, it's to this day, not only the most important song in hip hop, but the most important song in music history, in my opinion, one of the strongest songs I've ever heard,
I agree.